Yeah, I don't want it to seem like nothing is being done or there hasn't been any real progress so far. Uh, I think I can admit that the country did not go into decay like most African countries when they gained independence. There were civil wars, tribal wars, and Kenya being the worst example, where a lot of people lost their lives just because of political and traditional ethical superstition. And our country has peace. Our country has peace. As a matter of fact, the neighboring countries are sort of like most people feel like the neighboring countries are a threat to us because as they fall into decay, we are afraid that it will filter down to our country. And I don't think this is the case, albeit our borders are not that protected, especially the border to Angola. Um, I've been reminded uh, a few times about how dangerous it is for me to engage in politics. Uh, in the beginning, right now, I'm thinking in the beginning I should have used an alias, like most people do, uh, just to cover my identity because now my surname is known and the senior who's not involved or who doesn't even share the same ideologies that I do can get harmed because of the things I say, because of that presumption that you always say what you hear at home, while it's actually different with me. I'm a naturally curious person, and I discover things by myself, and my mindset is different. It's unique. It's mine. It's influenced by a lot of things, but it's not influenced by one thing. Um, my family has a rich history with the ruling party. Fought wars with them alongside them. They were in the whole struggle movement, and some suffered. And in the end, we gained independence. And after we gained independence, we gained freedom. Schools were started. Now we have a university, the University of Yuna, which to everybody's surprise is thriving, albeit most of the lectures are imported. Um, there's a lot for us to be proud about in Namibia, apart from the fact that uh, the current regime merely just picked up where the other one left off. Utilize the same parliament, utilize the same offices, and so forth. And I think this might be one of the motivations for building a new parliament instead of using excuses like, you know, it's too small or all of that stuff. Uh, it's after you've spent your life trying to liberate your country, you obviously feel entitled to certain things. That's why a certain government official didn't feel he needed to pay water bills. And this is the same with a lot of people. I know someone who had a debt of 50,000 in water bills, and the water was still running, while people that are owing 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 get their electricity shut off because they owe water, whilst these people are let go. This is a simple example of influence. The person has a lot of influence, and it's that don't approach, don't touch, be careful, beware. Um, apart from the corruption, which every country has corruption, and the slightly appalling medical services from the public establishments. I guess we're doing okay, but then okay isn't good enough. You know, I don't understand why we should settle just because we got one thing that we wanted. Doesn't mean that we should not progress. And as we're progressing, we are forgetting the masses. And when I say we, I'm not really talking about myself. I am speaking about the ones in power. I'm no teacher. A lot of people are calling me Menier anymore. Like I'm trying to teach people something. People say I have teaching moments, while the only thing I do is engage. I engage in dialogue with the same people. So I don't know why they're not called teachers. And it seems when you engage someone and you come to a point that it's true, but they can't really they can't rebuttal it. The next best thing is to attack your character, your personality, and your achievements. You should shut up because you're not at this position, or you're not at this level. And frankly, I think that is bullshit. you know Freedom of speech comes with a lot of things, and the capacity to complain is also our right. If you can't complain, there won't be any progress, because you're not pushing for change. If we don't push for something, then obviously it stays stagnant. And I know for a fact that a lot of things have been done. I mean, good examples are NIPA, which is going to improve the quality of the civil servant departments and so forth. And that's a step in the right direction. That's what the people up top are doing. But the people at the bottom, us at the grassroots, we're not as informed. The closest people to government are the journalists. They give us the information, and we read it and we eat it up. That's what we get. And then the next thing we know, parliamentarians are tearing up newspapers because they're saying that certain things that are spoken about in parliament are none of our business. And they want us to be silenced. And in my case, they tried a lot to silence me, to make sure that I shut up. When they saw that they couldn't really intimidate me personally, then they start to threaten the people around you. And a lot of people don't agree with me that I take the humanistic approach. A lot of people don't agree with me. I should take care of my own life, and I do. I think of myself. I'm not a goldfish. I don't forget after 5 seconds. I think of myself too, but I also think of my fellow countrymen and countrywomen. When I walk out and I see little kids going through garbage cans in search of food, I can ignore it, and then my conscience is clear. But then there are times that you imagine and you put yourself in their shoes, and you're like, what if I happen to have been born into that family? That would be me. And what ifs, people don't care about what ifs. It's like, what if doesn't matter, because the present is the present, and you're not that person that's going through garbage trying to find something to eat. And this situation where we have a mini Ethiopia, and Ethiopia has two sides. There's the thriving Ethiopia where people live nicely, and then there's the other side where you get people that are living in pure poverty. That's where you see the pictures of the people that have kwashoko. That is only one side of Ethiopia. The other side is okay. They are thriving. They eat meals 3 times a day, and the water is clean. They drive cars and so forth. And Eritrea, Morocco from from Ethiopia to form their own government, and I guess things are going so with them. But I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I'm trying to learn as much as I can from the next person and the next and the next. I don't want to put people in hierarchies where I say this one is less important than the other ones. And I think I'm allowed heroes. Joseph Disho is one of my heroes. Uh, whether people like it or not, mainly because he comes from a tribe that was looked down upon in those years, and he dedicated a lot of his life to Swapo, and he became educated for his country. He has a lot of personal reasons that I don't know, so I don't want to speculate. um, I can be grateful that I'm Namibian. I'm not Zimbabwean. I'm not, you know, so yeah, I'm grateful to be Namibian. But at the same time, I cannot be content with the wrongdoings that are happening. When you see people spending hundreds of millions on buildings that are stagnant, uh, and then you look in the streets and there are hungry people who have no hope. And in fact, I looked at the rehabilitation center that they have in Namibia for drug addicts and alcoholics and so forth. And I think they give them 2 weeks or a week for rehab. 2 weeks and a week for rehab. So I don't exactly understand what kind of rehab that is. And I think the problem is a lack of resources and funding and money for these places in order for them to accommodate these young children who fall prey to drug abuse and alcohol abuse. You keep blaming the Sabines, and we don't set an example. We don't keep the youth busy, and we can keep the youth busy with international relations, not international but national relations, by engaging them in the happenings of the societies, the communities. I don't think there's any, at the moment, if I decided I want to go to a school and talk, I really don't know how I'll be welcomed, as I've been I have been deemed an alcoholic, supposedly, because I was seen once drinking a beer with a friend. So I'm classified an alcoholic, and not such a good example for people. Um, there are certain things that people expect from others, certain things that society expects from others, and I don't think it should be our duty to always please society, because there was a time that you had to do right by your government by making sure that the kafir stays in his lane, by giving the kafir a separate teacup, because you don't want his filthy spit and mouth to be on your cup. Those are long gone, but I'm using that as an example to today's rules, where the rules are set up as absolute, while law is actually meant to change as society progresses. The same with language. The English language hasn't stayed the same. It's changed over time. And for some reason, people see change as a bad thing. I think change should happen chronologically. Yes, change should happen chronologically. It shouldn't just be on a whim. But at the same time, we should also look at not we, but the people in charge should look at the mechanisms in place and see what exactly is hindering them from getting to the people. The old age home in Okahanja will bring me to tears. There are ladies there that are supposedly supposed to be taken care of, and some of them don't have wheelchairs. You know, the suffering in there will bring you to tears if you ever had it all. And then, you know, just a few kilos across or a few meters across, there is also another old age home, a beautiful one, fenced off with servants and all of that. And it gets one to asking, you know, why the difference? Why are some more special than the others? And the answer is money. Okay, cool. So what do we do with the people that don't have the money? What do we do with the people that don't have the facilities? Those questions cannot be answered by people who don't know their problems. That's why it's good to engage people, to find out what their problems are, and then to speak out on their behalf. And this is me talking. This is my mind. I don't want someone that also has my surname to get harassed or, you know, criticized or looked at in a bad way because of what I say and what I say to represent. You know, I believe that the government should have more power over businesses. Yes, I believe that. I believe the government should have more power over resources. I don't believe in nationalization. I think that's silly. But if you look to the future, there is a point always in history where something becomes obsolete. At the moment, if you go to China, China is the biggest exporter. Not the biggest exporter, but they have the largest they have coal in abundance. The place that has the most coal is China. They have, that's their resource. It's coal. They use it for themselves. Okay. Now, and we use trains that use coal. Okay. So let's say China is the resource of coal, and we buy from them for our trains. Then if you look over to, let's say, Europe, France or something, they are using trains that use electricity, meaning they have made coal obsolete. So what will we do when our natural resources that we have so much pride in are obsolete, when they are not needed anymore? And this is the age of innovation. You know, it's starting. We have electric cars right now that can drive for hundreds of kilometers on one charge. So what will happen to petrol in, let's say, 60 years? And at the rate that things are moving, let's say, what will happen to petrol in 20 years? You know, we kept thinking of Vision 2030 on how to improve what? What exactly are we trying to improve with Vision 2030? I'm not sure. I've read it, but I still don't understand it. You know, so I'm negative. I won't deny that. But I also won't be intimidated. I won't be silenced. For what? You know, people know where I live. You know, some people spy. Some people, you know, go ahead. You know, certain things are bigger than ourselves. I have to get over myself because there are certain things that are bigger than me. I understand that. I understand that fact. Now there's a fight for land in the city, which I back up 100%, because it's laughable for us to have the second highest pricing of property in the world. When we're broke, the government is broke. How is it the broke government has houses that people can't afford? Doesn't it mean if a government is broke, then the land is supposed to be cheaper? You know? Those are the questions that we need to ask, and we need to ask them openly. You know, and I saw there was a march. They held a march because they want the land prices to go down. But I think the days of marches are now obsolete. These are the days of constructive dialogue, holding a march, even if you have 300 people and all you're doing is shouting and showing placards. All you're doing is just wasting people's time. They'll be in their offices, close their curtains, put up the aircon higher, and then do their job. Because you're not being constructive, you're wasting your time. Marching for what? It's become redundant in our days. You know what the teachers did? What the teachers did was ingenious. They stopped walking. They didn't run around with placards and all that stuff. No, they showed just how valuable they are. And it worked. So instead of just going on a whim and doing things, I think we should organize and we should do things more intelligibly.